the government's intention is clear that the rule from jail will not be allowed, and it is because of this that Sarkar tabled the constitutional amendment bill. Joining me now is India's top legal hawk and former Solicitor General of India, Harish Salve, to decode whether the bill is necessary to preserve democratic values and public trust, or is it to target the opposition as being claimed by the opposition. Mr. Salve, thank you very much for joining us here on Times Now. The 130th Constitution Amendment Bill has divided public opinion. It essentially will require a chief minister, a cabinet minister, or a prime minister to demit office if he or she is arrested and remains in jail for a period of more than 30 days. Do you believe this bill, which has now been referred to a joint committee, is legally sound?
Legally sound, it's a crying shame that we need a law to tell people that we will not have our governments being run from prison cells. In 1991, when the investigation was held on Jain Hawala, completely misconceived investigation based on a diary, unfortunately pushed ahead by the Supreme Court. That investigation, everybody who was charged, not even arrested, demitted office, including Mr. Advani, who was, I think, leader of opposition or something. From there, we came to 2000, where Mr. Lalu Yadav demitted office when he was arrested, but his wife was sworn in as the chief minister, and the de facto cabinet meetings used to be held in the Bihar jail. And to a recent side where the chief minister Sachivalaya moved to Bihar jail. So please, I think it's a crying shame that you need a law.
But Mr. Salve, how do you respond to the criticism that this bill violates the principle of Indian legal jurisprudence that you are innocent until proven guilty?
We have the unholy spectacle now of what is called a scattergun argument. You know, you pick up some high-sounding principles, and then you fling them at people, and people say, yeah, that's true, that's true. Let's deconstruct this argument. The principle of innocent until proven guilty is a lay expression to describe the manner in which trials are conducted, which is that it is the prosecution which will bring home your guilt. You are not required to prove your innocence. That's the presumption of innocence. And nothing in that has changed. But you do not need to be convicted to be in custody. Our constitution itself recognizes that. The old code of civil procedure, the new code of civil procedure, and the criminal procedure, and the current code of criminal procedure, all of them recognize that you could be arrested. The point is, you are not being disqualified. MLAs are disqualified on conviction. MPs are disqualified on conviction. There is a serious debate on whether there should be a disqualification when charges are framed and where cognizance is taken, etc. Otherwise, this criminalization in politics is not going through. Your conviction, your trial process takes so long. People charged with serious offences continue as MPs and MLAs for years. That's the argument of criminalization. This is not that law. This law only says you will not run a Sachivalaya from a prison cell. The fact that you need such a law means there's something which has gone seriously wrong in our definition of democracy. You are in jail because the highest court of the country feels the facts against you are such you deserve to be in jail.
But Mr. Salve, then there is the question of misuse of the law for political ends. And this is something, unfortunately, that has been a prevalent phenomena in Indian politics, whether that is at the central or at the state level. Do you believe such a law can become an instrument in the hands of any government that is keen on disrupting governance, especially in the opposition-ruled state?
You know, I have a serious problem with the way this whole thing is being discussed, being conflated with what the ED has been doing. I have been publicly a critic of the PMLA law, the way it has worked. I have publicly been a strong critic of the Supreme Court judgment in Vijay Madanla, which armed the ED. And I am a staunch critic of this throw people in jail at the drop of a hat attitude, but I'm sorry, partly the ED is to blame, but mostly the courts are to blame, because if the courts would readily grant bail, this problem would not arise. And Krishna Iyer, Justice Krishna Iyer, one of the greatest jurists ever to have sat in our Supreme Court, had coined it in one sentence: bail, not jail. Bail is the rule, jail is the exception. If you go back to those old constitutional values, a lot of this will fall away. But that's a separate discussion. When have you last had a private member's bill saying you must amend the law of bail so that no Indian is unnecessarily denied bail? When have you last heard a call extension motion on wrongful arrests of businessmen or journalists or other people in other walks of life by business rivals filing complaints against each other and the ED getting active? When have you last heard a call attention motion saying what the hell is going on? No. The political class, is it reacting only because it affects their interests? And the other thing is being in office of a minister a sacred public trust, a public duty, or is it an entitlement, a proprietary right? The way it is being addressed is, oh, we have a right to be a minister, and that right is being taken away. Sorry, you don't have a right to be a minister. It's a constitutional duty you have taken upon yourself. If the constitution is amended to say, sorry, but this duty you will not discharge from a jail cell where you have been denied bail, not been arrested, where you've been denied bail, because there is a time period of 30 days. You can say 30 is too little, make it 45. That's a matter of detail. In principle, when you have been denied bail means when the judicial system has convinced itself that prima facie you deserve to be in jail. Then and then alone will this apply. And do you think our courts are not fit to deal with the allegation that a particular complaint is politically motivated and therefore do not deny me bail? If the court feels that a complaint is politically motivated, they will get bail for the asking.
But Mr. Salve, it's not as if our courts have always decided within 30 days that a case is politically motivated. In some cases, it's taken months or even years. So what's the solution really?
We can have one of the two things. We can have an amendment proposing 45 instead of not 30 days, or you can have an amendment to the Code of Criminal Procedure saying, if it involves a minister holding office, the court shall endeavor to dispose of the bail application in 30 days. But those are all things which are the minutiae. We can work that out. The fact that you need such a law makes me hang my head in shame. I'm sorry, I can't repeat this often enough. That a person feels that if a man is not allowed to discharge his ministerial duty from jail, it is destructive of democracy. I think it is destructive of democracy to even suggest that a person who's in a prison cell should be allowed to discharge such a sacred public duty.
Mr. Salve, in your opinion, what may have influenced all of this? Was it the fact that there was a former Delhi chief minister who stayed on as the chief minister for 180 days while in jail in a corruption case, or there's some other reason?
Look, I'm not privy to what the government thinks. I don't know why they have brought this law. I have read it and I felt it was I'm sorry as an Indian that we even need such a law. But the fact that in public debate, there was a strong assertion that there is nothing wrong in his continuing in office. Such an assertion in public debate itself is good enough reason to say that it's time we amended the Constitution to fix this aberration.
And yet, Mr. Salve, just pointing to something that you mentioned earlier, this is also a moment of introspection for investigative agencies as well as the courts, is it not?
Please have a debate on that someday and you will see how critical I am of what has been going on. Because I do feel that somewhere along the way our courts have gone very wrong in the way they have interpreted the PMLA law and in what they have created. I believe I've read somewhere that some very sharp comments came from the court when they are hearing a review of Vijay Madan Lal's judgment. I'm hardly surprised. And I'm sure they will correct course And in the meanwhile, a lot of people have paid the price of losing their liberty. But let not ED overpower debate. This is not about ED. This means even if a minister is convicted, minister is arrested on serious allegations of extortion, kidnapping, bribery, rape, murder, possessing illegal weapons, even then he has the right to continue in office. That's what this debate is. And the ED has no role to play in any of this.
Mr. Salve, coming to the legal challenge on the part of multiple petitioners to the special intensive revision exercise that's currently underway in Bihar, there were some strong observations made by the court on Friday when it asked political parties about why their BLAs have not filed objections to the process if there were indeed serious discrepancies. How do you view the legal challenge to this exercise that the opposition has dubbed as an attempt to exclude rather than include genuine voters?
You and I and the rest of India know these petitions have now become a pattern. There are some people who are seriously trying to undermine every institution in India. One by one, Election Commission has been targeted over and over again. Firstly, all sorts of allegations are made. Then the Election Commission has to come and justify its behavior. No affidavits are filed. There are legal proceedings which can be taken if there are false names. None of that is being done. So this is a public narrative. This is a narrative being created. It's a political narrative. Petitions are filed in court. Those petitions will suffer the fate. But frankly, these are not seriously legal challenges. If you people stop covering court proceedings, none of these petitions will be filed.
And Mr. Salve, now coming to the Justice Yashwant Verma episode, he had filed a petition in the Supreme Court questioning the procedure the court had initiated to examine the events in his house, including the burnt currency notes. The court dismissed his petition. He now faces impeachment. But do you believe he should resign now that he has exhausted his legal options?
So this only shows that judges have now also given up morality completely. First of all, according to me, this whole thing has been mishandled. The Ramaswamy judgment only said that you will require the Chief Justice's oversight to prevent, because disgruntled litigants will file complaints today against judges who have decided against them. So you can't start an investigation, or the executive may be dissatisfied and start trouble against the judges. So you need the Chief Justice to clear it. The moment the Chief Justice saw prima facie evidence of notes burning, he should have said, look, let the law take its course. Today, if it was a civil servant, would you have agreed that he resigns and goes away? Oh, what sort of a debate are we having? This is the case where the law should have been allowed to take its course. Even now, I don't know whether the FIR has been registered or the investigation is being conducted. And the Supreme Court conducted an in-house inquiry, I don't know for what. In any case, the in-house inquiry was to tell them the future course of action. They've come with the future course of action. Their suggestion that there should be impeachment is just a suggestion, but Parliament has taken it up seriously, and Parliament will deal with it appropriately. If the judge feels he wants to hang in, well, I'm sorry that such a day has come.
And Mr. Salve, since you asked whether the FIR has been filed or not in this case, well, not yet.
If it was a minister or a civil servant against whom you had evidence of notes burning in his backyard, or even a businessman, what would have been done? Everybody would have been jumping up and down saying, why hasn't he been arrested? Why has this not happened? Why has that not happened? Why is criminal proceeding not being started? Judges are not above the law. They only have an extra layer of protection by virtue of the job they do. So I'm sorry, this is all wrong, my view.
All right, we leave it there. Mr. Harish Salve, speaking 2 times now. Thank you very much, sir, for speaking with us here on Times Now. Always a pleasure to have you on the channel. And with this, we will slip into a very, very short break. We'll be back with more. Stay with us.